I'm on.
Lights. Which one are we on there? Yeah.
All right, we had that antigen antibody thing worked out, right? Where you do have antigens, and your antigens are for you, and that's why you have organ rejection, because the person who receives the organ from someone else has those antigens from the original person, and that's why you take the anti-rejection medication. All right. And we talked about infection. It's usually something like inflammation. We kind of touched on how inflammation does not always mean there's an infection, and we talked about all that good stuff. All right. Any questions about last week? You even remember last week? All right. Hopefully you remember last week by next Tuesday. Especially that little grid you made with your two different types of communities and the different subcategories and the examples you gave.
A question on that. An antibiotic, when someone's back, what kind? And it like boosts immunity from an infection.
Specifically, it's for the organ. It's not to help your immune system per se, but your immune system does recognize an antibiotic. Because if you take it, that's why we have all these resistant strains to antibiotics. Because people were taking them because they should have been taking them. So when the body needed it to help fight an infection, it was like, I've seen you before. I'm bigger, I'm better, I'm stronger. But the organism that has been reintroduced to your body. So the antibiotic is for the organism. But your immune system builds up antibodies to different infections on its own, right? That's the main part of it. So when this organism is reintroduced into the body, and if it's been, say, taking amoxicillin and you have cold and you thought it was sinus infection, maybe this virus now has more in this RNA transcript they call it solution section learned about AMP. Now it recognizes the augment and it's like, yeah, you know what I mean.
Is the exam going to be off the lecture as the last one was?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure that I'm not going to then study the lecture and then I'll be out of it.
So whatever we give you, we have the PowerPoint, your notes, if you record the lecture, pretty much that's where we can stay on
Okay.
target.
Good.
Also, you're supposed to be reading your book with this, correct? Just smile aside. I know it's true. Just smile aside, okay? That means that sometimes we can get material from the book as it relates to what we've been talking about in class, okay? Okay.
Like you always
Huh?
like you when you were in there.
Yeah, right. All right, now we're going to talk about allergy. And apparently we're starting the allergy season here in Arizona. All right, allergies, increased or excessive response to the presence of antigen to which the client has been exposed. So in my case, for some reason, my list keeps getting longer and longer and longer. So apparently I've been exposed to something. And then on the news this morning, while I was getting ready to work, they had an allergist and an immunologist guy who was talking about the purpose of allergy injections. And what do you think those Yes, it's to build your immune system. So they inject you with what you're allergic to, small doses, and the hope of that is to build up your immune system. So when you're exposed to the allergen, it won't have an effect on you.
I was watching the news last night. There was a lady who was giving her kid who's allergic to peanuts saltine crackers with peanut butter on it every day, and it was making him so that he wasn't allergic to peanuts anymore.
She's good. I don't think I can do that. Because unless he hasn't had a full-blown anaphylactic reaction. Some kids are so sensitive to peanuts that if they smell it, or if stronger in the past. But this one little girl was highly allergic to peanuts, but she didn't give her the candy per se. She ate the candy that had the peanuts and then kissed the little girl. She was that sensitive that it immediately sent her into an anaphylactic reaction. So the little girl didn't eat it, she didn't touch it, but the lady did, and she kissed her. And so goes my analogy of getting the rest. All right. So you can have a degree of the reaction from uncomfortable, so that itching, scratchy feeling, to life-threatening, which is anaphylactic. You have type 1, which is immediate. You have type 2, which is cytotoxic. You have type 3, which is immune complex. Type 4 is delayed. And type 5 is stimulated.
Stimulated or stimulated?
Stimulated.
Immune complex. This is another
Types of, these are the different types of allergies.
Can you say them all one time?
this one.
Yes.
I'm gonna do this.
One more time. Type 1, immediate. Type 2 is cytotoxic.
CY?
Toxic, yes.
No.
Type 3, immune complex. Type 4, delayed. And type 5 is stimulated with a T. Stimulated. Thank you. You're welcome.
These are types of allergies, right?
Yes. Stimulated. So your type 1 is going to be like your allergic rhinitis. So as soon as you come in contact with something, you know, you get the runny nose, you may get the red, itchy, watery eyes, those kind of things. So pretty much we're gonna the reason why you're not gonna learn about all the disorders that occur with a person under this lecture is because it won't make sense to you. You need to learn about it when you learn about the disorder as it relates to the certain category. So I'm jumping around here. But type 3 is immune complex, right? Give me some autoimmune disorders. Lupus.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Diabetes.
Diabetes, which one?
Type 1.
Type 1. So when we talk about endocrine, would it not make sense for you to learn about type 1 diabetes with your diabetes lecture? Rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, would it not make sense to learn about those with musculoskeletal? And then we can bring in that immune complex piece of it, okay? Your delayed, which is type 4, give me someone who has a delayed reaction.
Contact dermatitis?
Contact dermatitis. So like someone who has an allergy to tape, they may have that tape on anywhere from 2 to 12 hours to 48 hours. And then they may complain of some redness and some itching, and you go to remove that tape, and what do you see?
Red.
Redness, maybe some more, okay? So that's going to be your delay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would Rh negative be immune complex?
That is type 2 cytotoxic.
That's what I was thinking, but I got that.
Wow.
I've got my old micro 205.
Dang.
So what was the note you wanted us to take down for cytotoxic?
everything.
I don't think we're gonna talk about anything cytotoxic as it relates to immune. Now, Professor Britt, next semester, she may get all down and dirty with the cytotoxic immune reaction as the RH factor, but we just put it out there so you would know about it. But the main ones we're gonna focus on are going to be your type 1. So, and I told you last week that hypersensitivity and allergy are used interchangeably in some texts. So you may hear me say allergy, I may say hypersensitivity. It's the same thing.
What was like an anaphylaxis like?
We're gonna get there. All right. So this is how you come in contact with allergens: inhaled, ingested, injected, or contacted. Injected in the sense that so you're who's allergic to bees? Good. Nobody. That's awesome. You're allergic to bees, you might want to carry an EpiPen with you at all times. Same thing with food. So we were talking about the peanut allergy. Some people have that allergic to fish or the shellfish. Some people are so highly allergic that they cannot be in the same room with fish. I worked with a nurse. Her son, she said he had been eating about 8. Eating fish all of his little 8 years. All of a sudden, he had fish. She said he got the little scratchy, itchy throat. He had fishes in a drill. He was fine. She went to the store and bought some fish, had it wrapped in a package in the grocery bag, and he got to wheezing in the backseat of the car. She had to make a U-turn and take him to our ED because he was having a what? Anaphylactic reaction. And it was just the smell of the fish. So their house could no longer have fish. Drugs is up here a lot, isn't it? I guess drugs can be in every single one of these categories. Do we not inhale medication? The legal medication. Put a disclaimer up there, legal stuff. We take oral antibiotics or whatever medication that you're on. Injected, we give IV medications, IM, sub-Q, intradermal, and then contacted. I mean, if you're a nurse and you're giving medications and you touch a field and you didn't know you were allergic to it, could you not have an allergic reaction? All right, now let's talk about anaphylaxis. So this is life-threatening. This is something we don't like to see in the emergency department. But it's a systemic. So it means it's all over. Every part of your body is involved. So your blood vessels, your bronchiolar smooth muscles. You have your blood vessel dilation. What does that mean to you? Your blood vessels are dilating. What does that mean?
Inflammation. Blood pressure is dropping.
Because where's the blood? In the periphery, okay? So this next one makes sense, right? Decreased cardiac output. And then you're going to have your bronchoconstriction because it's working on the, I'm not saying that word again, I said it once. Smooth muscles, right? So your signs and symptoms of an anaphylactic reaction, besides the fact that they are breathing, they can't breathe, they're turning blue or purple. Somebody may say, I feel like I'm going to die, okay? They're highly anxious. The itching and the hives may come after all of these other things, okay? What is erythema?
Redness.
Redness.
Okay, angioedema. What did you hear angioedema?
Swelling. The lips.
Your lips.
With your ARBs or something else?
ACE
Your
inhibitor.
ACE inhibitor, okay? What color is your textbook?
Orange.
You have the purple orange color?
It's orange.
Orange, beige, orange.
Well, I don't know what page it is in your book. I have the page number from the old book, but they have a picture in your book of angioedema. So if you've never seen it before, the old text it was 392. So whatever chapter your one. But it kind of talks about your different types of allergens, and it may even go into each one of these, the type 1, type 2. They're around in that table somewhere.
Page 389.
389
And it's not pretty.
is what?
It's not pretty.
Oh, no, it's not. Usually, when they make a new edition, they just change the page numbers, take the off of page 95, put it on 97, and then charge you an extra $100 for the book. So, what you say, 389? Couple of pages off,
Yes.
392. All right.
389.
So 389 in your new book.
You're laughing.
No, that's not.
It looks like Renee Zellweger in the diary one. But she's kind of
Bridget Jones.
yeah. It kind of looks like her.
Okay. So you have somebody that'll come in and they're holding their hand over their mouth like this, and they're whispering, and you're like, what is wrong with them? Oh my God, I don't know. And then you take their hand away, and you're like, oh. And then you start asking them questions. What's one question you may ask them off the bat? What are you allergic to? Even before you get to allergic to.
When did it start?
Are you taking an ACE inhibitor? Okay, number 1. They say no. What else would you like to know?
They can breathe.
They're talking to you. We're okay so far. That's a good question, though.
Allergies are whispering.
Allergies. What did they say? They don't have any.
What did you eat recently?
What did you eat recently? So then you kind of work your way down. All right. So are you taking an ACE inhibitor? Like, what is that? Okay. No. Are you allergic to anything that I know of? No. All right. What have you eaten recently? Oh, well, we went to the buffet and I had some shrimp and something else. Have you ever had shrimp before? Yeah, once or twice. Kind of got, a little uncomfortable with it, but I didn't think anything of it. All right. And you're like, ooh. Now that I know that, and they have angioedema, Deanna, what question did you ask? You wanted to know.
They can breathe.
Now I'm really concerned that I don't want them to stop breathing on me, that I figured out what the cause of aging is. So they want a free pass straight to the back. I'm not keeping them in my triage because I don't want to work that hard out in front. Okay? These persons go into multi-system failure, better known as shock. Because it says it's involving all blood vessels, right? So all of our in-organ perfusion is gone. So when I say in-organ perfusion, what organs am I talking about?
Kidneys.
Kidneys, brain. We know our heart is compromised, right? Because last slide said we had decreased cardiac output. If this person, or this could even happen on the floor, right? When somebody's sick, they're getting an antibiotic for the first time, and all of a sudden you walk in and you see them. What do you want to do? I'm talking about antibiotic. Do what?
You see the antibiotics, look them up.
And give them some what?
Epinephrine.
What's the first thing that? What does that mean?
Can't breathe.
Oxygen. How many liters would you like to give them? 2. Oh my God. All hell.
6.
4.
I can't breathe. What are you giving me? Oxygen. Is 2 liters gonna help me? Thank you. 15 liters of oxygen. Don't you give them 2. Don't do that. And if you're giving them 15, what are you putting them on? A non-rebreather. Okay. Glad you said oxygen, but 2's not gonna help me. So we stopped that antibiotic. She said, sit them up. Why?
They breathe
Hopefully
better.
we can open them up, okay? Then we're going to help them out some more and give them 15 liters in a non-rebreather. Who said Effie?
Sabrina. She said stab them with the F.
That is correct. You're going to find some Effie from somewhere. And you are literally going to stab them with Effie. Inject them with Effie. pen, or if you can find one, you got it, take that pen off and you inject it, okay? Then we may want to, who said albuterol? Alright, during this time, somebody should be on the phone with somebody. We need respiratory, because if I'm going, what possibly is happening to my airway? It's, okay, so I may need to be what? Intubated. If it's so edematous down there and so closed up, I might be a candidate for what? A who? A tracheostomy. They can do those at the bedside if need be, okay? And then, alright, if this does happen on the floor and somebody ends up with that, they're going where?
ICU.
Even if they do have a severe allergic reaction to where it's anaphylactic status, where do you think they're going? ICU. They're a higher level of care and they need to be one-on-one. What else are we going to give this person? Fluids. Why? Raise the blood pressure and help the heart do what? We have decreased cardiac output. Why?
Dilation.
Because what? Dilation of what? The blood vessels. So the blood is where? So we have decreased cardiac output, decreased fluid what? Volume. So if we give them some fluids, what time do you like to give them? Normal saline. How are we going to infuse this? IV. What rate did you like?
Fast.
Fast. Wide open. Wide open. That's when you just spike that bag and you open it wide up and hang it as high as it'll go. You may even need a pressure bag. We need to circulate the volume. What are we trying to protect by getting this circulating volume? Kidneys. What else? Your lungs. We need this, right? Brain. We're trying to get it perfused. So, in that perfusion is a life-sustaining element called what? Oxygen. We need oxygen. So that's why the 2 little liters of oxygen isn't going to work. But I am glad you said oxygen, though. Yes, you just give it up a little bit. But then you're taught to give 2 liters, right? When in doubt, you give 2 liters. Now I'm going to blow your mind. If your patient is, no. We need to raise it up, okay? And then somebody say albuterol, give them some albuterol. What other medication can we kind of help with this inflammation? What would you like to give them steroid-wise? Solumedrol. So we'll give them 125 of IV Solumedrol. So we get the 4th slide and they start talking about aspirin. Alright, I talked ahead of my slides because it's easier for me to keep it rolling. So this is the allergies we were talking about. We just talked about that. I don't know who you are. We can never get the music to play when we want it to play. So I need to send it back to my PowerPoint algorithm and have him fix it.
You're looking at me?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, listen to me. I have my own in-home PowerPoint algorithm. You're my in-house, like
Oh.
here. I don't know what happened. Your Apple products, who have latex allergies. What do you think a latex allergy would fall under? It could start off that way.
Could be anaphylaxis.
It could be delayed. But for some reason, your book calls it a type 1 hypersensitivity. But it has to go by what your book says. But usually, it's kind of after overexposure, continued exposure to latex that someone develops the allergy. So you get the sensitivity first. And somebody said the contact, the delay. The first thing they'll ask you, well, is it the powder or is it the latex? I don't know, the two go together. You know, pick one, I don't know. So the next thing for me love a kiwi strawberry snapple, okay? And all of a sudden it started making, I would itch, and I'm like, every Friday when I was nurse tech, I would eat the shrimp and the french fries and my kiwi strawberry snapple for dinner. And I'm like, is it the shrimp? Oh my God, please don't let me eat shrimp because I love shrimp. So then I didn't do shrimp one day and I had the kiwi strawberry. So it must be the kiwi strawberry. Kiwi, okay. Then when I became a nurse, I kept doing the latex, but I noticed my hands would get a little red. I would wash them immediately, it would go away. So at that point, I thought it was the powder. So it wasn't. Then, the redness, all right, okay. So my son was turning 18, and he's your typical guy. He doesn't like hoopla and all this. Before mom, I'm like, turning 18. So I went and got all these latex balloons. I got a big old balloon bouquet, and I'm driving down the 347 to Maricopa. I've never been to Maricopa. It's 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out, and nothing but nothingness. Okay? So I'm driving, and I'm like, and I started wheezing, and I'm like, oh, snaps, it's the balloon. Like, and then I was like audibly wheezing, like that. And I'm like, I cannot ride on the 347. There's no one to find me, first of all. So I'm rolling down the window, which is not what you want to do on the 347. And then I had this whole bug phobia thing, but at that point I did not care. So I was hanging my head out the window, driving all the way home, and I get out the car, and my husband's like, what's wrong? And I couldn't talk, so I'm right in the house. I took this Benadryl, and I was like, dude, I almost died. What are you talking about? I said, I have a full-blown latex allergy. He said, how did you find out? I almost died. So just being in the car with those balloons, I literally, my airway almost closed up. I cannot be in a room with latex balloons at all. Never, ever, ever.
Why didn't you let the balloons go?
Yeah, that was my money.
Oh my gosh!
As a mom, you want that for your baby's birthday. You want to celebrate his birthday. What's going on?
How does kiwi relate to latex?
It's like kiwi, avocados, bananas. It's similar trees or something like that. So
Latex is made from like the rubber trees.
rubber trees. I can't eat now. I can't eat bananas. I used to eat bananas all the time. So no more bananas, no more kiwi. I love avocado. Until something wonky happens with avocado, I'm gonna keep eating that.
You're like Will Smith in that one movie.
Hitch.
Yeah, he's all
I know. And that's how I know my ears are big, so I get the itchy thing in my throat. Shrimp is out the window, so eventually, I don't know what shrimp has to do with it, but I can't do that either. So my life is slowly becoming bad.
Well, you know, the latest research for allergies is they're looking at if you're missing an enzyme, you know, like the cholesterol thing. The people who have hyperlipidemia, sometimes it's you're missing that gene or an enzyme.
So it's
They're
my
finding
family's
that
fault.
people who have multiple allergies could be missing a certain enzyme, and you can compensate for that by taking this enzyme.
Wow.
I just heard that on the news.
My family's fault.
I understand.
I mean, eventually, what would be a smart move for me to go do?
Allergy testing.
Do the allergist, right? And do the allergy shot
You
and all
haven't?
that. But even though I am a nurse, I don't like needles. So you're not gonna stick me every week with some foolishness, and then I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not because we don't know how severe my allergy is. So
Oh, you gotta sit there for a while
I'm
before
not.
they let you
I
go.
don't have time for that. I may not know everything that I'm allergic to. My younger sister has the same problem. She had to go to the allergist, and they found out the reason why she could acquire asthma is because of her allergy. I worked with a nurse at back home, and she had really severe asthma and allergies. She had an allergic reaction drinking beer.
Oh.
Yeast in the beer.
Yeast,
Yeast is allergic to beer.
Hops.
hops,
Alcohol.
all of that. And I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about it. So she had started to get allergic reaction because of her asthma. What do you think happened with her airways? She started wheezing, So I had to tell my sister this. I'm like, I don't know, she was in her 20s, early 20s. What do you do in your early 20s? You like to have fun and party and all that good stuff. So I told her you need to be careful because some alcohol can cause you to have an allergic reaction which can trigger your asthma. And she never thought about that. So look, maybe I saved her from holding in some nice down some water. I don't know. All right. Any questions about your immune system? What y'all talking about back there?
We're talking about, I was like, severe, will vomit profusely after like 3 sips of beer. And she, when she was little, she had a severe wheat allergy, and she doesn't anymore, but something about the beer will make her just, like, puke. It's not drunk, because she just has a little bit, and she's like, she can't get off the bathroom floor, so. What? No, it's her. No, she's got her regulation over here, too.
Oh, okay. So please no bringing beer glass to see if you're allergic to it in class. And you can't do that on the campus anyway. All right, now we're going to switch gears, kind of, sort of, and talk about HIV/AIDS. You know what it stands for, the letters. Human immunodeficiency virus. It's a retrovirus, and it completely and utterly destroys the immune system, okay? You know all about DNA. What's so special about DNA? It's what we're made of. The helix, what does it look like? Okay, it's double-stranded, right? The genetic material for the HIV strand is RNA. So what do you know about RNA? Don't we have DNA and RNA and all that good stuff?
Single-stranded.
Single-stranded. So the reason why this virus is so fallacious is because it attacks the CD4 T cells. What do you know about those?
Helper cells.
Those are your helper T cells, right? It invades and hijacks the human genetic material. So it is going to use reverse transcriptase. That's the actual enzyme that it does. And what it does is it mutates the DNA by causing the virus to become part of the host DNA. So way back when in biology, way back when you were reading little tadpoles, you were learning about DNA and RNA and how, you got your genes from mommy and daddy and blah, 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 blah. All right? This virus hijacks our immune system. So what do you think is going to happen if we produce our own cells and it hijacks our DNA? What will it replace our cells with?
The
viral cells, okay? So eventually your healthy CD4 cells will be eliminated and the HIV cells will come. Now, an AIDS diagnosis requires the HIV person, this is what you really need to understand, to have a T cell count of less than 200.
So the T cell count has to be less than 200 to be considered having HIV.
No, AIDS. Once someone has the AIDS diagnosis, you cannot go back this way. So AIDS equals HIV, but HIV does not equal AIDS. So can you have HIV and not have AIDS?
Yes.
And you don't have AIDS because why?
Take those two times.
Your T cell count, right, is above what?
200.
But once you go to AIDS, you can never come back to HIV status, even if your T cell count starts to rise. So they do these different lab tests to diagnose HIV. Have you heard of them?
Elisa.
Right, the ELISA test, and then you have the Western blot.
That's right.
And it just depends on the a viral load test, and that's to see how much of the HIV particles are within the host system. And then they have a T cell count. And the T cell count is to let us know how many healthy, normal T cells they still have remaining in the person. HIV is probably longer lifespan than someone with AIDS. And as we progress through the lecture, you'll find out it's not AIDS necessarily that kills the individual. It's going to be all those opportunistic infections. I'm going to use Magic Johnson as an example. And people say, oh, it's because he has money, blah, 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 blah. But there is 1% of the population who, for some reason, they can't figure out why, their body is able to fight off the HIV virus, and they will present as normal. So when it's taking years for them to get to this research, I know there was something, I don't know if it was a documentary channel or National Geographic, where they went to this little town in Africa, and you know that there's a very high population of HIV/AIDS in Africa. This town of prostitutes, not the town of, the town that had prostitutes in it, they were HIV positive at one point, but then they tested them later and they couldn't find it. But does that mean that you should stop doing whatever that you're supposed to do? No. What does that 1% look like? There's only one Magic Johnson walking around on Earth. What does that 99% look like? So
Everyone.
what I'm asking you is, what does HIV look like?
You can't tell.
You can't tell. So there was a stigma with HIV/AIDS when it first came out. What was that stigma?
Was it gay disease?
Right. It was a gay white man's disease. San Francisco started in the bathhouses and all this stuff. And now they're finding that it's not so much, okay? The fastest rising demographic with HIV is going to be our teenagers. Chastity vote. The other demographic is going to be your persons of color. So your African Americans, your Hispanics. That number is starting to rise. Why is that?
Education.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all that. Why is that? Think about it. Women. So imagine you're a woman and then you're of a different ethnic descent. You're not of Euro descent. So that's a double-edged sword for you, right? Women passing it along in utero. So that does cross the placenta. That virus crosses the placenta. Oh, here we go right here. African Americans and Hispanics combined for 66% of new HIV cases. 66%. Somebody said why? What about healthcare? Okay, healthcare, socioeconomics, how are the two related?
We can't afford healthcare.
They can't afford healthcare or they don't have what?
Insurance.
The stigma of going in to get testing. That's
One thing is the stigma. Access. Access to healthcare. So if I have to go back to Milwaukee because that's what I know. That's where I grew up. So for some reason, every metropolitan city has this beautiful downtown. And as you drive out of downtown, what do you see? Homeless. Good.
Run down.
All right. So that's your impoverished area, right? So I know I can't. Usually the hospitals are person's first access to healthcare, right? If I don't make enough money, I don't have any insurance, When do I seek health care?
When there's a
When,
crisis.
okay, when you're a crisis, when you're dying. All right? Yes, ma'am.
It almost seems like, 'cause I've had a lot of, well, I grew up very poor, and so I grew up around that, you know. But it almost seems like it's generational too. You know, like you see your mom with all these different men, or you know, you see it in your neighborhood, and you know, you don't think anything's wrong with it.
Right.
You know, you go without insurance, without food, without this, without that, and you end up living like what you're surrounded by on a daily basis, thinking, oh, I'm not gonna get out of here, you know.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know.
In survival mode. There's a difference between living and surviving. When you survive, you're going to do whatever it is that you need to do to handle your business. Okay? When you're living, you have a means to live. Okay? Nowadays, those who have a means to live are finding themselves on a slippery slope of survival. So when you look at someone who has HIV/AIDS, it crosses gender, races, socioeconomic statuses. It does not matter. You can have a judge that sits on the Supreme Court, and you can have a homeless man, and they both be HIV positive. But one thing all these persons have in common are behaviors. Okay? IV drug users, multiple sexual partners. This is something that our teens don't understand. And their little wee minuscule brains, for them, and this lecture is not for the squeamish, okay? Because I say it how it's supposed to be said. So if you have teens, if you don't want to tell them, make them sit down and listen to my irritating high-pitched voice. And they'll get it, okay? For them, sex is penile vaginal penetration. That's sex. They don't understand oral sex is sex. Any exchange of body fluids, you are putting yourself at risk to acquire HIV. Their mind is that they don't want to get pregnant. We can handle the baby. They do grow up and poof, you poop them out at some point in time. HIV/AIDS is a lifetime. That's a game changer. You get this at 16, who's to say you will ever be able to have a child? The cost of these medications is not cheap. The amount of medications they take, 25 pills a day. I'm sad. I only got 3. 2 of them are for my allergies, and I can't remember to take them every day. So imagine having to take 25 pills a day. They have to be taken at the same time every day. That's their lifeline. You can't get a 16-year-old to unload the dishwasher. So how are you going to get them to take these medications? But what do you know about your teens to your 25-year-olds? What mindset are they in?
Invincible.
Invincible. Oh, it's never going to happen to me. It's never going to happen to me. Well, here's the kicker. Anyone who acquires an STI or sexually transmitted infections is not a disease. We give you some medicine. Hopefully it goes away, so they change it to infection. Anyone who acquires one of those, your risk just doubled to acquire HIV. So our little teenagers thinking that, you know, we're going to beat the system, they do oral things. Ever seen all these multiple bracelets, color bracelets? Yeah. Those bracelets have meaning.
It means what you do and what you don't.
Yes. What you do and what you don't do. Rainbow. So sit down and have a talk with your teenagers about these bracelets and what they mean and the different colors of the rainbow.
I've never heard that before.
Never.
Wore them and then that thing came out and you had no idea?
Yes. Yes. So all of those things mean something. Something else they don't think about. If you can get chlamydia in the penis and in the vagina, where else can you get chlamydia?
No.
Oh, really? Yeah. No. So this little guy comes in, And he's like, couldn't swallow. We thought it was strep. And I'm like, And I told the doctor, I was like, his throat is not right. It's strep. I said, go look at it again. You know strep. And then you know something like this is more than strep. And he said, what we gonna do? I said, you need to swab that for more than strep. It's what he had. He had chlamydia. You're 14. What did you put in your mouth?
Oh.
His mom was livid. But then we had to tell her, okay, now he needs to be HIV tested. And you need to tell your partner and your partners that they need to be tested too. There's also another population that we forget about. Elderly.
Oh yeah.
They get it cracking. You ever who's seen? And I love channel surfing, but I don't like channel surfing because for some reason I'm the only person in America that sees all this stuff. Anybody ever seen this cougar? No, not cougar time. I like that.
Oh, that. Yes.
The old lady, man, she was like 85 and dude was like 25. And she had on her little swimsuit and she was doing her little yoga moves. I mean, she was doing some moves. I was like, have her legs, my legs don't move. So, I mean, we think at 85 that they, pushing their little walk. They had the grandkids on their head. No. Where is the highest incidence of STIs? What do you think it is?
65.
What is our retirement city? Sun City. Sun City is so awesome. It even had its own little reality show. Short-lived because people were like, no. But it's true. So when you are doing these teachings, you need to make it appropriate. So if it's your teenagers, you need to use the lingo that the teenagers use. If they say smashing, you need to say smashing. You can't say, well, today we're going to talk about HIV/AIDS, and you shall not have intercourse. You should not have coital relations. They're going to pull out their iPhones like y'all do, get on Facebook, and not paying any attention to what you're saying. You need to tell it like it is. No smashing. Okay? If you do, what do you need to tell them?
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up with what? A condom. That concept.
Oh.
That condom should be made of what?
Steel.
Man, that ain't gonna work. With all that, the whole picture of that, they should get disgusting. There's only one, well, maybe now two, the nitride, whatever it is, like the gloves that you put on, they now make them for condoms. But they need to be latex or what I just said.
Polypropylene.
Okay, what a way to find out you have a latex allergy.
No, lambskin, sheepskin, zebra print, I don't know.
Zebra print?
I just need to give you information. I don't know nothing about half of this stuff. I'm just tell you. Because if I don't know, there's a whole other half of people that do know. So you need to understand what's really going on in the world out there. Okay, we're talking about viral load, T cell count, opportunistic infection. All right, we're talking about all this. Since we're talking about our elderly persons, what do you know about the elderly? What happens as you get older?
Get wrinkly.
You're in relation to your immune system. What happens? Yes. all interrelated in this lecture only. So if they are exposing themselves to multiple partners, things decline on a natural realm in our bodies as we get older. And let's bring in all of those comorbidities that we have going on as we get older, okay? So, yeah, we're laughing about it, but it is kind of all interconnected, right? So just because little Joe is hunched over on his walker during the day, the Taco Bell commercial with the old that I was telling my husband I should get that on YouTube and play it for this lecture. So during the day, they're all like old and docile. At night, no, they turn around and I'm like, okay. And then close the door. He rips out the covers. He's all dressed to go. They're sneaking out the old folks' home. They driving in this little old school Mustang. It's all souped up. They get tattoos. They at the club. They at the DJs. And they stop at Taco Bell. And the police roll past and they're like, so they're looking at them like this passing me a joke. And they're sitting there eating their Taco Bell like nothing's going on. And when they pass, they fall out laughing. They show them going back to the nursing, what was it, Sunny Brook, something. Nursing home, the sun is just starting to, peak. And the old dude, and he's got like this big back tattoo going across his back. And I was just dying laughing. I said, because nobody thinks of old people in this light. And I was like, that commercial is probably true. Somewhere in America, that no proof really exists. And they get out and they go do whatever it is that they do. If they're not sneaking out of the nursing home, they're probably sneaking out their room, going with their girlfriend, and nobody thinks that this is going to happen. They can't get pregnant now, can they? No. But they can still have fun, whatever fun is for them. The nursing home I worked at, she was 90 years old. They're trying to give her an injection, and somewhere during the process, the nurse got stuck with the needle. We started doing back in the late 90s, mid 90s, somewhere in there. We started HIV testing. Guess what grandma came back with? HIV positive. 90 years old. And the nurse? I don't know. After that. So again, you never know. We see grandma at 90. We don't know what grandma was doing when she was 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You don't know. So your patients, you already told me, you don't know who. HIV looks like this classroom, right? STIs looks like this classroom. You can't look at somebody and say that, oh, she must have such and such and such and such. So we talked about myth versus fact. We talked about the genetic. We talked about culture. We talked about age. We talked about gender. We talked about socioeconomics, right? All of this stuff comes into play. So whenever you're doing your teaching, you need to make it specific to what you are supposed to do. Don't talk over anyone's head. Don't talk below someone's level. If you're talking to elderly people, you need to figure out what do y'all say. Some elderly people speak better Ebonics than I do. I'm like, what? How do you know that? My dad. I'm like, who are you hanging around? When did you get out? What are you talking about? And my son's like, really? You know that? You know that? What's going on here? I'm kind of sad that you can relate to my 20-year-olds. And I'm totally clueless. So, we need to, if you're not educated, you need to get educated, okay? Because not only for you, if you have children, if you have nieces, nephews, whomever, you need to be educated. And Rob brought up a very good point. There is a stigma about being tested. It's kind of like the no news is good news, but in your ignorance, what are you doing? You're spreading it. Everybody needs to be tested. I don't care if you've been married for the last 20 years. I don't care if you only had one partner. Everybody doesn't take the truth all the time. The best HIV commercial I saw, they had two people. I only had sex with you, and then they had all these other people standing behind them because she had sex with him It was like the whole room was filled with 500-600 people, but they just thought it was those two. Yes.
My ex-brother-in-law was married for like 25 years to the same woman, and she walked in on him with someone, and come to find out he'd been cheating the whole time, and it took that long for her to find out, you know, and it was like, that sucks, you know.
Yeah, on all levels. Because now, and they're gonna put this out here too, because it's not unknown, but you have this whole down low phenomenon that's really a subculture. So you have men that are, they go both ways. So they're married, they have a family, they have children, and then they have this whole other life where they want to be with men. And who's to say that they're using protected sex or not? And then you're coming back and you're bringing these things back into your spouse. So those things you have to keep in mind too. Something else I need to tell you is that with women, there are special gynecological considerations you need to be aware of. Someone who has persistent or recurrent vaginal yeast infection, one of two things. We'll talk about it when we get to diabetes. That could be a sign of diabetes, or it could be the first sign of HIV. Other common problems for women, PID. Pelvic inflammatory disease. Genital herpes and cervical dysplasia. Now remember I said that someone who's been exposed to an STI, your risk doubles.
Cervical dysplasia.
Cervical dysplasia. PID, pelvic inflammatory disease. Genital herpes is a no-brainer. And cervical dysplasia, HPV is a positive agent, human papillomavirus. The common cause of all three of those things are sexually transmitted infections. Pelvic inflammatory disease develops after someone has been exposed to either chlamydia, gonorrhea, and it goes untreated. Genital herpes, got it. And then your human papillomavirus, you don't know that you have cervical dysplasia unless you go in for your yearly fun time with the gynecologist.
And that's when they find out, it's based on
The
dysplasia.
pap smear. Yep. And another thing we know about HPV, different strands cause what kind of cancer?
Cervical cancer.
Esophageal cancer. Oh yeah, that brings me to my friend Michael Douglas. So we talked about it in the throat. You have chlamydia, you have gonorrhea. Syphilis is making a comeback. I don't know why, but it is. It's making a comeback, and it's coming back with a vengeance. To the point that the medications that we were using before are no longer effective. Same thing with chlamydia and gonorrhea. So all of these medications, sharing of medications that we used to do again. So our immune system is being exposed to this agent again, and it's like, I've seen you before, and no, this medication isn't going to work for me like it did last time. So we get a resistant strain or it mutates, and we have to figure out what works with it. In the meantime, they're not supposed to engage in any type of sexual behaviors at all. So, Michael Douglas had HPV. I just told you where HPV came from. Rat. That's something else you need to be wary of. Okay? And you don't, when you are doing these things, you need to be as real as possible, but very non-judgmental. Again, You only get these people at one snapshot in time. You don't know their history, you don't know their life story, you don't know how they got to where they are. But you have to make them feel safe enough and secure enough to give you the information that you're asking them for. So, and I'm not saying this is your lifestyle at all. You just have to be sitting here. And I'm using you as an example. So I need to let Vanessa know, you know what, I'm not here to judge you, but I am here to help you. And I need for you to be as open and honest with me as you feel that you need to be. I need to know, and I'll run down my list. And I need to tell her, you need to tell your partner or partners, not that I'm trying to be funny, but I'm just letting her know this is your responsibility now. You need to tell them that they need to be tested. Where does that information go? Health Department and the CDC. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to read an excerpt of the Kathy Grant Dispatch that I found this summer about what's happening